today, talking about Facebook groups. Why is this important? Why should we care? Why do we need to care about Facebook groups? Because if you've been around Facebook long enough and you've had a business page, you know that the regular business pages are not as well engaged with or promoted, right? You have to pay to play. But Facebook groups have been a little bit more present in the algorithms. And so we want to share what we're doing with Facebook groups, what I've seen others do with Facebook groups that have been pretty effective. And so that's what we're going to cover today. And plus, I also had the request to talk about Facebook groups. Let's just first talk a little bit about kind of the new Facebook, if you will, like things that are happening this year, with some things that have been introduced by Facebook. The Business Suite, if you're not already utilizing it, either on your phone or on your desktop, it's replaced Facebook Pages, and now it has everything from WhatsApp to Instagram messaging to Facebook messages, and you can also do Messenger and all those things within one dashboard, which is pretty nice. You can schedule, publish, and manage posts for both Facebook and Instagram. You can pretty much stay up to date with what's going on and the notifications that are happening. And you can continue to look at your insights and see what's working for Facebook and Instagram, so you know how each of those platforms are doing for you. So it's kind of a nice little tool that if you don't know about, I recommend that you download it and use it. If you're not already using some sort of third-party platform. We also use what we are calling Pepper Post to manage social media for our clients and do this as a service. So we look at both. We look at all the things all the tools that we can use to help that. So yeah, this new Facebook app was really kind of rebranded from the Pages Manager, and it's an app that allows businesses to really just manage their accounts across the app, across the backend integration, allowing admins to post all across the networks in different ways. Instagram, you want to post differently than what you want to post on Facebook, but you can now do this. And you can get all of your messages all in one place. I will tell you that I am on Clubhouse, and people will message me through Instagram, and it also shows up in the Business Suite as well. So then everybody has access to it that is on the team, that is, being a part of your management team. So just keep that in mind if you have messages that are getting direct messages. You can turn some of those notifications off, so that way you're not annoying people with a lot of messages, which I think after getting DMs from Clubhouse and all that, the back channels that happen with Clubhouse. But Clubhouse is another webinar for another day. We'll talk more about that as well. But just wanted to share with you a little moment of what you can do with Facebook, the app, and the messages that come through. So let's see if it's going to keep switching screens for me here, as I should. Good. All right. So the Facebook design layout has changed. Of course, it is always going to continue to change. So for desktop and mobile, it continues to be switched up. If you like, you can switch back to the classic Facebook for 48 hours to see how you manage the page and how it is different than what it was before. But it's always going to evolve, always going to change, and find new ways to be able to, give you a headache or a heartache, or it could be a benefit too. So, but it's trying its best Facebook is trying their best to be able to help you navigate, help you, through being able to utilize Facebook to your advantage. I do believe that they are trying to help businesses, get some more traction and interaction, but let's understand how Facebook groups have come into play with that. So Facebook groups are taking off more than ever. They've been around for a really long time, but now people are utilizing them to their advantage. So Facebook groups are really getting a priority in the news feeds. They're getting users that are joining, that want to join the groups on purpose, on specific purpose, and so then people are engaging in them in record numbers, which I think it's now kind of Facebook's claim to fame is having the groups and having kind of that community of choice and the like-mindedness of what you decide to join your group on, right? For this example, it's like travel services, or, in our case, it's the Marketing Expedition members group that you're a part of, or it's another networking group, or it's a gardening group, or it's whatever group you could imagine. There are a ton of groups out there. You can always just search groups now, and it's another tab on your Facebook feature. So the other thing that's happening is now Facebook is allowing groups to monetize and be able to have a paid partnership within your group, because we know engagement is higher than a page. We know that engagement is actual, authentic and organic. When you do what otherwise would be known as a promoted post or a sponsored post, it's now a paid partnership. So the brands have to collide together and approve that you could have a paid partnership within your group. It has to be approved, and then you can have that branded content and those tags that are being extended into the public groups, allowing admins of groups to create sponsored posts in partnership with or on behalf of advertisers. So that's something that's fairly new, that's happening more and more. You may or may not have even noticed that you're getting a paid partnership post in your feed because it's so tiny and little. It just says paid partnership. We highlighted it right here just so you could see what that is. As an advertiser, this is great, right? You want to have authentic posts or things that people want to listen to or hear because it's like-minded, and you approve of those brands that are going to come in and be a part of the group and share whatever offer it is that they have. So anyway, those are some things. So Facebook groups, like in general, right? We're talking about, they're really nothing new. In fact, they've been around for over a decade, making them one of social media's network's oldest feature. The whole network's oldest feature, right? Groups. But once the Facebook algorithm update that deprioritized brand content, these groups have become even more connected with the brand's followers, because when brands were trying to do all that they could organically to get their message out there in front of people and get their, in their feeds and do all the things that they possibly could organically, and it just wasn't really producing a whole lot of results, they turned to groups as a way to then get their brand engagement up, right? Get their users interested, give them some value that they otherwise wouldn't be getting on their pages. And so once the priority became of groups, when people are starting to use more groups, Facebook took note of that and now rewards you for utilizing your groups a bit more. So brands that choose to use Facebook groups and use that approach have seen real success in being able to generate better engagement than what your fan pages will. And when they're run effectively in the groups, you can create an active community centered around your products or services. And it's not always sell, sell, sell. It's more about adding value, giving your constituency, your audience, the people who love you and want to be there because they actively sought and found your group, and you can promote your group, of course, and do that to get people to join your group, but they are there because they approved the fact that they want to be there, or maybe you invited them and they accepted the invitation, right? You want to make sure that they know that they're being invited and that they accept the invitation. You don't want to just add people to groups. In fact, I think Facebook doesn't necessarily allow you to just let people in your group. You have to invite them. They have to accept the invitation. They can get reminded a few times, and then, then it doesn't allow you to invite them anymore or remind them anymore if they haven't joined. That just kind of means that, they don't want to be a part of your group, or they missed the message, or they aren't even on Facebook as much anymore, or whatever, right? And you can send a link to share your group through a Facebook Messenger. Watch out, don't do the same thing over and over again, because that's considered spamming and it'll blacklist you and you'll go into Facebook jail because you're doing too much of the same thing and they don't like that. So don't invite too many people all at once, because you will go to Facebook jail. And what I mean by Facebook jail is utilizing that tool too often, too fast, too much. And they said, nope, cut that out. You are in violation of our policies. You're using it. You're going to, spam people, and it's not going to be good for you. So don't go to Facebook jail. And just like Clubhouse too, don't go to Clubhouse jail. Don't go to follow jail. Don't go into pinging jail, like where you ping in people too fast into a Clubhouse room. Anyway, back to the groups. So what are Facebook pages versus the groups, and what are the differences, and why the difference of what you can use? And now always recommend that you have a Facebook page so that you can use your advertising on the page, right? So you're still going to need a page regardless, even if people don't engage with it as often. You still want to have your presence there. You still want to have, the official, public facing Facebook identity of who you are, what you do, what you represent. It's, a great lead into events that you're doing, or, outside of the group, right? If you're going to hold an event like we just did with this one, we posted it out there as an event. It's still a great place to have your pages, looking at what is happening, having photos and imagery, and, your employees or whoever it is that you're wanting to feature or highlight, or whatever the case might be. If it's a cause, or if it's a business, or if it's a public figure, any of those things, right? You still want to have that public facing page. And in that way, people can go there and just check you out, right? Just like they would a website, or they would go to your website from your public facing page. And it's really a great place for you to, do some updates, some practical information. It's visible to anybody, and it can collect audience analytics and calls to action with buttons to click here, or to schedule a time, or, being able to sell something or have a shop, those types of things, right? And so that's really your page, and why it's important to still have a page. But then now a Facebook group, right? And groups can have multiple admins. You can have an admin as a page and as a person, as a public profile. So my public profile, the Ray Allen profile, is also managing the Marketing Expedition members group. My personal profile is in there. The company as Peppershock Media is also an admin in managing the group. Multiple different ways to be able to do it, and have other people help you admin the group. So what Facebook groups does is it's really a place for the customers or the people that are like-minded that you want, that have accepted or wanted and sought and found you, to bond around how much they love you, right? They're your evangelists. They're your customer evangelists. They're your loyalists. They're the ones that are like, yes, I want to be a part of this brand. I want to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. And this is, kind of the idea behind this, right? So that's kind of what's happening there. And I'll just acknowledge Travis, thank you, in the chat. I sound great, good. So place for discussion. It's a place to learn about the company, rallying around a common cause, or getting access to exclusive knowledge and more. It can be public or private, or a secret group. And sorry for the typo there. I did proof it and I must have missed it. Anyway, it can be a public group, it can be a private group, or a secret group. And we'll talk about the differences of each of those here in a minute. And you can focus on brand loyalty, be authentic, share your stories, do Facebook Lives, do these things that will help engage with your group. And we'll talk about how to do that as well. But those are the differences between the pages and the groups, and what you'll want to do and how you'll want to structure it differently there. So why do we want to have a Facebook group to begin with? And what are your goals? What does success look like? How do you launch and grow a group, right? So thinking with the end in mind, what does success look like? Thinking about, okay, is it how many group members I have? Not always. It's not necessarily about how many group members you have. It's about the quality and the quality of the people who have joined your group, right? The people that are going to help you grow and be a part and be those, loyal brand advocates for you, right? Is your purpose to generate sales and leads? Ultimately, maybe that's the goal. Maybe it's to promote a cause. Maybe it's to help just build your brand, create TOMA, top of mind awareness, continue to be in front of people who, want to be in front of you. So think about, what is your ultimate goal, and use the SMARTER goals to create a KPI, or key performance indicator. So what does success look like? It might sound like an obvious question, but sometimes it's often overlooked, and you have to ask the why, so that way you understand what it is you're going to do in order to make that happen and get the success that you want to do. Presumably the real reason isn't to just simply acquire a few thousand followers. We know that, right? We want to make sure we have the absolute best people that we want to accept into our group. And I look at the people who want to join my group. Is it going to be like a spammy person? Are they just a brand new, Facebook profile with 0 posts who, just started yesterday and they're just trying to, I don't know, spam us or not really give us any value or engagement or anything? Or is it somebody that's been around for a while? Do they have, maybe they have other people that you're connected to that, would vouch for them maybe, or, all of those things. And we'll talk about how to kind of gate that a little bit too, to make sure that the groups are what they need to be. But, more than likely your end goal for, marketing efforts is to really, drive the sales and generate leads or connections or create that, synergy around your brand. And if that's the case, then it needs to be reflected into the content that you post within the group. But not too salesy. And we'll talk a little bit about that too, because people get turned off by, laying sales on thick, right? They want value. They want, guidance. And like I'm doing right now, I'm providing my group value by giving and sharing, how to have a Facebook group, how to launch and grow a Facebook group, right? My goal with this is to give you value. Then maybe later on down the road, you'll want to do business with us, or you'll refer us, or you'll think about us whenever you want to, have somebody to hire to help you manage and maintain or, admin your group, for example, right? And I'm being just completely transparent here, right? I do this as a goal for me to be able to, get our referral network, get our brand loyalists, people who want to be in front of us, that we want to be in front of as well. And so, that's a goal for me. It's not necessarily how many people are in my group, but the right kinds of people, right? And so, the smarter idea, the smarter goal, right? Ultimately, you need to have some way of measuring your performance. And by doing this, by setting an actionable KPI using the SMARTER methodology. So SMARTER, if you've never heard this before, or if you have, maybe this is a great refresher for you. And I always add the ER too to make it smarter, not just smart, because you've probably heard of SMART goals, but maybe not smarter goals. So here we go. Specific. Is it clearly, completely clear what your Facebook group KPI relates to? Don't leave any wiggle room, right? So understand what it is that you want to be specific about. Measurable, literally, can it be measured? Can you put a number against it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the number of followers, but how about how many people have engaged with your audience, or your posts or shared or those types of things, right? Can it be something that's truly measurable that you can put numbers to, that you track? I always say, measure what you treasure, automate what you hate, dump what you don't. But if you measure it, it's more likely to be important to you to actually continue to see how you're doing, right? And how it's going. Is it attainable? Is it realistic? We'd all love to, quadruple or 10x our sales overnight, but it's just not going to happen, right? That's not realistic, at least not within a Facebook group. But, is it going to be something that you can really realistically do? Is it achievable? Is it going to be relevant? Does it align with your wider objectives in your marketing plan and your strategy and your plan overall, right? Is this a part of your tactic that you're going to take to support your strategic marketing plan overall? And how does it fit in with that? Is it relevant to what you're wanting to do, right? And ultimately, if your aim is to increase lead generation, then through your Facebook group, then that could be a reflected measurement in your KPI that you want to do, right? How many leads are coming from this? How many new members? For us, how many new members have we had sign up for the Marketing Expedition members group on our Facebook and into the VIP membership subscription site? Right? How many subscribers do we have as a result of what we're doing in our Facebook group? So that's a relevant, attainable, measurable KPI that we can look at to see how many people have signed up and purchased a marketingexpedition.com membership, and then take them to the next level of what they can get beyond what they're getting in the free Facebook group, right? And that's what we're talking about. And so from the members that we attract to the group, then how many people turn into our, VIP subscribers, right? So that's something we can look at as a measurable KPI, and then turn that into the next part of your value ladder that you want to increase, right? Is it timely? right? Set a time period over which your performance will be measured. How much time is it going to take to get to where you want to go? And where is it that you want to go? If it's the leads, if it's the engagement, if it's the number of followers or members, if it's, subscribers, is it, what is it that you're looking at, and how much time is it going to take for you to get there? And is it realistic, right? We had these pretty unrealistic goals when we started to think that we were going to do, amazing, massive things. And then pandemic and things kind of all got, a little bit messed up. And so now we've made our goals a little more realistic, but you don't know until you do it, right? You don't know until you know, and then you go through the process. And E, is it ethical, right? Do you have your Facebook group rules set up to abide by some ethical standards? Are you going to post things that are ethical, right? And ethics in advertising always, we have to think about that, not just ethics, but also, now we're including diversity and inclusion, and, thinking about the Me Too movement, and, making sure that what we're posting and saying is ethical and, relevant to our times for today, right? Gone are the days of when, sex used to sell better. And now I think it's looked at differently now, right? So is it ethical? Whatever it is you're doing within your group, whatever it is that you're posting or sharing or doing, is it ethical? Think about that and how you want to present yourself. And, the other things too is like, if there are trolls that are in your group that are causing a lot of issues that don't necessarily belong, that they're just, being terrible to your group members, boot them out. And you have every ability to do that, right? You can boot them out of there and make sure that they are not causing too much strife and issues. And if they're direct messaging people and, pitching them and doing shady things, right? They're out, because that's not a part of your group rules that you have established, right? And then finally, is it recorded? Is your goals recorded? Are you keeping track? Are you looking at your measurements over time and continuously tracking them, right? Measure what you treasure and continue to track it, right? If it's tracked, it's going to be important, and it's going to continue to rise because you're going to see things that you can do to tweak it, make it better, whatever the case might be. So a good example of a KPI is increase clicks to our website from our Facebook group by 15% over the next quarter, for example. Maybe that's one of your KPIs. You want to increase web traffic to your website, which is great for SEO. And Travis, who's one of our participants on here, he would agree that SEO is really good for your website. Whoops, I went too far. So benefits of a Facebook group is it's a direct line to your customers. So you have the ability to share information with them. You can survey them. You can, give them perks, that maybe they get pre-launch, or maybe they get things that the general public doesn't get because they're a part of your group, because they're a part of your community, right? It builds long-lasting relationships with your members. And, we have gained a lot of members and hardly lost any people that, maybe people that didn't necessarily know what they were getting into, or that didn't belong, or whatever. Or maybe they just simply didn't be on Facebook anymore. But really, continuing to attract and retain your members and building those relationships and connections. And I try to reach out and tag and talk to our members. And, I have messaged them, or I have, offered advice when I can, or when they post questions, I'll, follow up with them when I can. And it's just a great way to engage with them. And I try to, continue to do that on an ongoing basis. And then it also increases organic searches, because then people who are in your group, they might be searching for your website or searching for you. It can, help with those types of things that'll continue to build your brand and your bottom line, right? So the types of Facebook groups. So I told you we were going to talk about the different types and kind of the benefits and drawbacks to the types that I have seen. And so with a public group, it's open to anybody. And anyone can search and anyone can post. It's a little free for all. It's a lot more like I've seen, here, post here to promote your business, and then everybody does it, and everybody puts something on there with a link and does all that. And it's a kind of a mess, honestly. But you can have public groups that you can, and we'll talk a little bit more, that can go into how you can manage those, right? Private groups, which we have for the Marketing Expedition members, is a private group. And by the way, you cannot switch from a private group to a public group because you had permission from people to join that group. They, joined under the premise that it was going to be a private group so that they have a little protection or anonymity if they want, that kind of thing. But it does show up in searches, but only current members can see the posts. So in order for people to become a member, they have to ask questions, or you have questions that you can ask them. And I'll share a little bit about that as well. And then the secret group can't be seen unless you're invited and accepted. So secret groups are, for family when we are doing an event or activity together. My cousin, we usually do Mystery Weekend in Seattle, and we couldn't go because of COVID this year. They canceled it up to Whidbey Island, and it's just this fun, the whole town gets involved, and it's like a mystery that you have to go solve, and you go to different shops and you get different clues and all this fun thing. And I've gone for years and with all my cousins and aunts and stuff, and we didn't get to go this year. So my cousin made us a little private group, and she made a little mystery of her own that we all got to participate in and get clues all within this private, secret group that we all did. And by the way, I guessed the clues right, and I got the grand prize. But anyway, that's just an example of what you can do to have a secret private group that you only have when you can accept and invite only the people that you want to be in part of the group. And then no one else really knows about it, and they can't, get in, and, there's no trolls there. So those are the differences of the groups. And, so how do we use these groups, and looking at how you can use the different groups that you're having. So as a customer support community, so when a customer is looking for support and help, you can be the hero by hopping in and addressing the problem and announcing, the answers to the rest of the community in the process. And it's kind of like what we would have like forums, right? The feedback forum, but like back in the day when we had chat room forums, which we still have forums these days, and it happens kind of like what Reddit is, right? But this is a little bit different way to go about it. And, there's imagery, and there's, connections and people replying and commenting, and, using the emoticons, the heart or whatever, the like button. And so, yeah, it's basically information for everybody to see that are in your group. And if your customers are really nice, they might even have some help each other solve some problems, or maybe, here's what I found, or here's my experience of what I've done or how I've done it. Right. And so that's, your group for business in that regard. Do you make it public? Maybe. Do you make it private? I think that I'm pretty convinced that a private group is good, because those are the people that you want to have there and go through and, help them understand who it is. And those are the ones you want in front of you. You can also use it as a learning and engagement tool. And Facebook groups have, sometimes been a little bit of an underused feature that can have some pretty good value with the social learning, the watch party applications, the units that you can put in to be able to put learning lessons and units within the group. And it could become like a digital course within the group itself, right? Maybe you're teaching people how to live stream, or, maybe you have an interview, or you've got, I don't know, whatever it is that you want to teach or do within that group. You're adding value to those people that are in the group. And by the way, you can have, a private group that's free, but then you also can have another group for the people who are your paid members, right? Or your subscribers to whatever it is you want. And maybe that's where you're putting in your training groups and things like that. Either way, the content really encourages activity and repeat visits to your page. If it's learning, you're going to go back and watch a video again, or maybe there's a series of videos that you want to watch. My friend Shelly Jorgensen, she's got in the Inner Circle group that I belong to, she's got, her units all on trainings and videos that she's recorded, and she's put them all in kind of a series that you can watch and learn and grow. And she's teaching other people, about how to do that too. And so anyway, it's just a great place to understand what's going on and how to, teach others and get them to continue to come back to your private group. And, you can ask people, use it as that feedback forum, surveys or polls. Polls are really great because then people can just answer quickly, or maybe there's recommendations that you want. What do you think of this feature or that feature? Or, what if we did this, what would you say? Or, if we started doing this service or this product, would you buy it? Or why would you buy it? What would you buy? What would you like to see in the features, and what would you like to make a part of it, right? And so those are all some things that to also consider, how your audience is going to, react to what it is that you're doing before you're even doing it, right? Before you're even going to put it out there in the world to see what is it that they're going to say, how are they going to say it? It's kind of like you're getting to pre-sell it before you even sell it. It's like an inventor's dream to be able to understand what the inventions will be used and how they will be used, and getting that customer feedback and support, testing out copywriting, testing out messaging, testing out all of the things that you want before you go mass market something, right? And it's just another place to find some really great insights, and kind of, thinking about, okay, if you are looking at your insights from your page followers, and you're looking at your, analytics of what you're gonna, who you're serving and how your audience is coming together and how they're finding you, you look at the different things that your membership's doing, and how you're growing and engaging, right? And all of those invaluable insights into your fans, and kind of finding out where they're from, when's a popular time to post, how many active members are there, who is active, who your influencers are, who are the people who are engaging the most, and why, finding the things that they like to engage with, because if they're active, then you want to continue to give them the type of content that they want to hear and see and do, right? So yeah, it's a place for people to connect, and, finding that bonding with your brand happening on a regular basis. And these, feelings that come from connection and making people feel good about themselves because you've connected and communicated with them, and, say nice things or whatever it is, right? Building that active community to then also ask them to invite other people and draw in more people, right? To then be able to, have a referral network to say, hey, it would be great if you could refer us to somebody or something, right? And so utilizing that as a tool as well, because referrals come from those who want to refer you. Okay. And so if you ask them and remind them about those referrals and saying, hey, do you know somebody that would be a great member for this group, and why? And, who would that be? And would you be willing to send them an invitation to the group and help you expand the groups that way? Right. And then you can also use it, of course, as a revenue stream. And, if it's meant to be, with some underlying understanding that, you have a business to run, you have, a profitable business that you want to run, right? There's going to be some of that underlying understanding that even though you're giving free value, or value that, really isn't free, right? It's the idea that you can give that to somebody, and that they'll in turn use that to their advantage, and then also tell others about it, right? And then you can create your loyal followers, and if there is an opportunity to give them a value that they'll pay for, offering access to like our subscription, our whatever, right? Having incentives, maybe if they're a member of the main like VIP, subscription, then they get they get member pricing or subscriber pricing, however you want to word that based on how you want to set it up, right? Or they can get exclusive member only deals, or they, will get some sort of last minute offers, or, tickets, or in my case, invites to Clubhouse. I open it up to our members first, right? Because you only get a certain amount of invites. So just things like that you can do that makes them feel special, that makes them feel like they, want to keep coming back for more. And, wanting for them to set the notifications to always be notified when something's posted, as opposed to sometimes, and that's the other thing that Facebook has done recently is, which I don't understand why, but they have created where you'll get some highlights of the posts that are happening in your groups. And so you actually have to go into settings and change the notifications to be always notified when your favorite group posts. So there is some of that does go on that you'll have to, continue to monitor, right? There's always going to be algorithm updates. There's always going to be things that Facebook will do and share. And I was just going to show you really quickly the post that I did in our group that talked a little bit about how to do the notifications better. So Facebook has changed some notifications for groups again. They've automatically switched members of most groups to receive highlights instead of all posts. This means that you will only see about 1 in 10 posts on to change these settings. So in order to change the settings, you have to go to the group page, and you have to do this for every single group that you're in that you want to see more and do. So if you're on a mobile device, then the little 3 dots on the right side of a group is in the little screen. There's 3 little dots, right? And those little dots, when you open those up, then the desktop browser, a mobile device, the 3 little dots on the top of your screen, when you're in there or on a desktop, then you can click the joined tab on the right of the group homepage for right now. I mean, who knows when they'll change it again. But basically what you're looking for is to click on notifications and change it from highlights to all posts. And then of course you want to, pass the word on to other people to say, hey, let's make sure that we get to see all of the notifications in our group that's happening. So, I post that out there just to remind people that if you want to see what's going on and you want to keep, highlights in the group, then change your notifications to all posts. So those are some things about the groups and, how you can use them as a business. And we'll just keep going here. I do want to leave a little time open for questions as well. Okay, so some best practices. Let's just talk a little bit about that. I want to make sure that my page changed here. Good. So creating a clear code of conduct. We talked about this in the ethics part of your smarter goals, right? You want your group to be a civilized group, not the wild, wild west. Some of the rules is a great place to kind of think about how you are going to have that code of conduct and, being respectful or having kind of your terms and what it is that you want people to do and how you want them to do it. Is it, you want to give them an idea. Is it okay to blatantly, broadcast and promote their brand, or is that maybe something you want to do on specific posts, right? And sometimes we'll post in the group, hey, tell us, who you are and what you do, and in 2 sentences or less, or hey, drop your brand logo. Let's just see your logo. Or hey, without using the name of your business, tell us what it is that you do. Just for fun, but also to get people connected. But you want to give people an opportunity to network within the group because, that is maybe one reason why we're there, but they also want to connect with other like-minded people or other people that they could use their services for, or, get advice from or consult with, or whatever the case might be, right? But it's really a place then for you to understand, to get everybody on the same page with your expectations of what you want them to do within the group and that code of conduct, right? So that, and then post regular welcome messages. So welcome the newcomers, tag them, invite them to talk about themselves. And, it's like, make sure that their information, that when they post, they don't necessarily get lost in the fray. Check in with a welcome post. I was for a while doing it every week, but now I've kind of done it on a kind of an ad hoc basis. So then we can gain gain the members and then kind of highlight and feature them. And it's a little more unexpected, which is kind of nice because then they get tagged and posted, and it's just a nice little shout out for them. And then they can, share about them, share about what they want to do. We just did this the other day in our group, and, we asked a silly question like, what's your favorite dessert? Or what's your favorite, I don't know. And it's kind of fun to get to know people and get them engaging in things that they otherwise maybe wouldn't normally say, right? But I would engage consistently, not too much though. You don't want to like click on every single post that people make and hit yes or like on every single thing, because then if everything's important, then nothing's important. If everything is important, nothing is important. So you want to click on the ones that are getting engaged with a lot. You want to reward those people who are getting engagement a lot, and so you want to make sure that you're, chiming in when it's the right things to chime in on, and all of that kind of thing. So that, and then of course, scheduling your posts for peak times. You'll consistently see the times once you look at your analytics as you trial and error this and see when your audience is going to engage the most. And it would be surprised. You'd be surprised when you think that people would be online and engage with you. Sunday evenings, for example, you would never think that people would be on, but that's a nice time to post, because then they're getting ready for the week. They're, maybe winding down. They might be on their Facebook and they might be, scrolling through, and you see a post or you see a live, that kind of thing. Sometimes we'll do watch parties and schedule the watch parties for times that we know are peak, but maybe I'm not available to do that. So thinking through like, when are you going to post? How often are you going to post? How often are you going to engage? And maybe set up yourself a schedule to be able to do that, because you could obviously, spend all day in it if you're not careful. So just keep yourself on somewhat of a regiment, understand when those time frames are and when people are communicating with you the most, right? So there's that. And then keeping up with the content on your page and your group, keeping it unique between the group and the page. Sometimes we're a little guilty of that and doing both things in both places. But as I said before, I think groups get more engagement. So chances of it being seen is going to be seen in the group a little bit more than on your page. But sometimes I only post things that are only unique to the group, like this, for example. This doesn't go out to the world. If you're a part of my membership and a part of my, my TMEC, the Marketing Expedition community, then you get to see this, but you don't get to see this if you are just in general public, and, it doesn't go on our just our general page. Only goes inside of our group. So that, and then of course, so keeping content unique and special to the group itself is helpful. And then keeping, so this is the other thing. So the bots and the trolls with a questionnaire inside your private group and secret groups, you don't really, you want to have the authentic conversation. I mean, there's a lot of those chat bots and mini chats and things that you can use with Messenger, and, you ask permission for it. But I think that those are a little more, spammy. You can use them for a public group or a public page, I think, and that's a little more acceptable, I think. But sometimes inside your private group, these are people that you would, want to hang out with, have over for dinner if we weren't in pandemic, right? Would you just, automatically send them out a bot? I don't know. It can be done. It can be done wisely though, and not with just a generic kind of thing. And let's see. Welcome messages we talked about, scheduling posts for peak time we talked about, the bots we talked about. Okay, and then looking at your membership list, if you do have a troublemaker or somebody that's, posting spamming things or breaking the rules and they're just super spammy and, I don't know, you don't want them around. Luckily, the code of conduct made a way that you can go back to the beginning of the list and see if you've got clear reason to give them the boot. If they're not the ethical person that you want to be in there, if they're doing things that it's just not good, well, they can go out. One example of this is when not our group, but another group, there was somebody that was claiming to be a copywriter, and they were DMing everybody, and they were, kind of spamming everybody. And, setting up meetings and they would no show. And then turns out some of the stuff that they were doing was plagiarized. I mean, it was just super spammy. And so the moderators of that group, or the administrators of that group, gave them a boot because, you know, they were not ethical. They were not doing the ethical thing. So be buyer beware of those people, right? But yeah, that, and then just, you know, give them something special to talk about, right? Exclusive content gives the members a reason to continue to engage and check back in regularly, especially if you have them set the notifications to always, you know, and that could be good for, you know, Q&As or, you know, doing meetups or, you know, we have our third Fridays marketing expedition virtual meetups that we do. And then we actually get to communicate with people on Zoom together and in front of people, right? And so just give them something special that they can be a part of, that they can belong to, that they believe in, that they can share, and, you know, give them opportunities to share about who you are and what you do just the same. And then you do the same for them, right? It's special. So you've made the group, I should say group, right? But how do you grow it? How do you grow the Facebook group? Engagement, questions that can prompt engagement, things that you can get them to do, to say, and help talk about, right? You know, Facebook will reward that engagement. So if the more you have people engaged, the more that they're a part of it, the more they're going to elevate you in when people do searches for you or for something that they're looking for, in the keywords that you put when you started the group, or categories that you put in. And they love engagement so much that they will recommend your group to other people on the platform as a recommended group or other groups to follow, that will then allow you to help you essentially grow your group for free, right? So engagement can really, really help you with that because Facebook loves it. And we know that with this Facebook algorithm and updates that they've made, Facebook groups are something that they are paying attention to more. So the best way to get people to engage consistently in the Facebook group is to constantly ask them questions. Even if you get one or two people answering the question, it's better to engage and ask them questions and get people doing something, right? To get them going. And sometimes I'll pose a question and, you know, I'll tag people to say, what do you think, so-and-so that I've tagged? Or what do you think? You know, what, I would love your opinion on this, or I'd love your, you know, your insight on this, because this question pertains to you because of whatever reason, right? And so tagging people to answer questions is also another good way to get engagement. But yeah, there's lots of different types of questions that you can use, but a decision support, you know, should we do this or that, right? A or B, and or opinion questions, right? If there's questions weighing on your business or some personal decisions that you want to make, that makes sense that within the group, you know, parameters of what it is that you're doing, prompt them to answer your questions and allow them to share something about their business or their experience or, you know, their profile or their podcast or their YouTube channel, or give them abilities to also, you know, kind of share what they're doing in a way that kind of gives you experience, right? So that's another thing to do. So prompt questions or sharing questions. I think I did a question the other day. I can't quite remember it, but it was like, what is your help statement? I help people do blah, or I help people this way, or what is your help statement? And then people, you know, really engaged with that one, because then they got an opportunity to say what they did to help people or help what they do, or, you know, whatever it is. And it also kind of, you know, has a residual effect, because now people can connect with people if they need somebody who that person helps that they need, right? And so, you know, kind of those types of questions that give them an opportunity to share a little bit about them. I also did like, what's your mission or your mantra, or what's your tagline, or what's your, I mean, and just because we're in the Marketing Expedition members group, of course, I can ask them about marketing and branding and culture and those types of questions. But depending on your group and what it is that you're wanting, you can tailor those types of questions, those prompt questions that do tend to get good engagement because of it, right? Okay, I'm just keeping track of time. Okay, so keeping engaged Facebook groups trending, right? Every time someone comments or reacts to your Facebook post, whether it's in your group or on the feed, Facebook will push it back to the top. So in the case of engaging a group post, everyone will see that post first, right? And so the posts that are engaged with the most, those ones will get posted to the top, unless you pin one that you always want to have to the top. But you don't want to just, like I said, you don't want to continue to engage in every single post, because then nothing will trend and nothing will be posted and rise to the top, right? The cream of the crop, right? But you want to definitely make sure that you're engaging and commenting and doing it. I see that all the time. People will post a question and then they don't answer it, or they don't come back with a response or a rebuttal or a defense, whatever it is, right? And it just drives me nuts, right? They'll same thing with like ads, Facebook ads, that they post these questions to these problems that people have, right? They're trying to solve people's problems, and then you see a slew of comments of people asking questions, and they never respond to them. And it's like, one time I posted a question, and then I just replied with a cricket, a couple of crickets, like as in, it's been 2 weeks, you haven't answered my question, and crickets, because that's what was happening. It's just crickets. So that totally turned me off. I didn't want to participate or engage with that person because they didn't respond to me and they didn't get back to me. And yeah, I hate that. So sometimes if you do post that question, you need to make sure that you follow back up on it and reply and share. And sometimes I come back in and do that, and I will respond to people just for that reason, or we may assign somebody to another admin to make sure that we're doing that engagement. And the more engagement, of course, the longer it'll stay up on top of the feed, right? And it's kind of like you want to continue that engagement. And sometimes what you want to do is you'll engage a little bit and then maybe come back 30 minutes or an hour later and engage again, because then it'll put it to the top. And then maybe if somebody wasn't on an hour ago, then they'll be on an hour, in 30 minutes from now. So engaging again, it'll catch their eye, they'll see it. And so sometimes, engaging on a periodic basis to continue to help push the feed to the top that you think is worthy or a wonderful, reward for having, that post rise, then that's what you'll want to do. Continue to engage on an ongoing, consistent basis. And then, periodically coming back to the same post that you think would want to rise to the top, right? And then celebrate with your Facebook group community, a fun way to generate engagement. And this is always great. When we hit a 500 milestone, a 500 members milestone, we posted this thing and people, say, like, I think we did 100, and then we did, 200 and all the way up to 5. And now I think we're, hopefully going to approach, when we hit the 1,000 member mark, we'll do more. And our group is organically grown, right? I'm purposefully, picking the people who are a part of our group, right? I could rapidly grow it faster if I wanted to with anybody and everybody, but I'm purposefully getting the right members in our group. I want to vet them. I want to make sure that they're going to be a good fit, right? And so our group is organically growing the right way. Other groups you see, they have, 20,000, 200,000 members. These groups are crazy, I think the Women Helping Women group, last I looked, she's just gone phenomenal. And she's got, standout members where they can pay to post and be approved to have your posts in them. And it's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's just like a lot to manage and a lot of people. And maybe not all of them are the right, people that you want, or the demographic that you may want. I don't know. But celebrating those wins, right? Celebrating when you get a certain amount of people, or when, if you get some high profile person in your group, right? That's kind of cool. You want to make sure that you highlight and feature them and love on them, because then it sort of helps with that, awe factor of the fact that you've got some pretty awesome people in your group. I have authors in our group. I have, podcast interviews with amazing authors, some international best-selling authors in our group. And so I absolutely always want to, give some, podcast previews and shout outs to the people that I feel like, yes, they are good vibes for our group, right? Let's celebrate that. And it definitely will engage and create a ton of engagement. And then of course you'll get rewarded for that, right? And okay, some mistakes to avoid, and I'm going to wrap up here shortly. We want to avoid spending too much time getting people to join us. We want to make sure we get the right people. You want to focus on teaching rather than engaging. And of course, you don't want to let the wrong people join. You want to make members wait for their posts. You don't want to make members wait for their posts to go live. If they post something, you want to approve it. We do approve the posts because I want to make sure that what we're posting is going to bring value to people, and make sure it's a part of what we want, right? Use the live stories, tag your locations, give a heads up when you're going to go live to people, because going live helps also with engagement, and Facebook loves when you go live. They celebrate that too, and you can put your recent posts in the stories and kind of share about that to help get people interested in, hey, guess who I interviewed today? You need to become a Facebook member of our group, and then you can find out more, right? Or whatever the case might be. And of course, you can do the campaigns for your groups. So tips to walk away with is, link to your Instagram and Facebook, create your Facebook business page if you haven't already. Of course, then, your group after that, begin tracking your insights monthly, use the 5 R's. It's my raise 5 R's. So, if you rank and review and give other people referrals and recommendations, then you'll be rewarded with the same, ideally reciprocating 5 R's. So if you give people reviews or recommendations on any of these different platforms, then ideally the good karma will come back to you, and then you'll be rewarded. Start growing and engaging your Facebook groups. So those are some things that we're doing. I guess we'll just end it there. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, enjoy the journey.
We believe in innovation because in today's world, if you're not getting better and coming up with new ways to serve your customers, you're bordering on obsolescence.